What's holding you back from moving forward in your life? Is there something from your past that you need to release in order to step into your future? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about the power of letting go. First, I want to talk about the weight of past mistakes and regrets or hurts. Holding on to these things can prevent us from growing. People who dwell on the past often tend to look back, ruminate, and obsess over the past. You may have heard the saying that you can't drive forward looking in the rearview mirror. People who tend to dwell on the past a lot, that's one of the things they tend to do. Another thing is they're afraid to try new things or to step out of their comfort zone because the comfort zone is predictable. Our brain and our mind wants to keep us safe. So we are more apt to continue doing what we've always done because we feel safe there. When people continue to think about the good old days, and I'm not saying it's not okay to think about the past and it's not okay to think about the good old days, but sometimes the good old days weren't all that good. And people who continually talk about the good old days or who want to stay in the good old days, they're really tethering themselves to the past and they're not able to really focus on moving forward or growth. So we want to make sure that we're looking forward. The other thing is people who dwell on the past too often procrastinate. They don't want to deal with what's going on now. That's called avoidance. I tend to do that sometimes. I put stuff off as long as possible, especially if it's something that I don't necessarily want to deal with now. Sometimes we do need to put things off to gather information, to determine the best course of action on how to deal with things. Sometimes perfectionism will cause us to procrastinate and delay dealing with things that are happening now. Procrastination and perfectionism, they're cousins. Another one is the if I woulda, shoulda, coulda. Again, that has to do with looking in the rearview mirror. What should I have done differently? I wish I had done this. I wish I had said that. If I had done this, if I had done that. The thing is, you didn't. I didn't. We didn't. We didn't do it. And what has happened has happened. Now, sometimes we can go back and correct things that we did not do and things we did not say, but sometimes we can't. And when we can't, we have to continue to move forward. We have to ensure that we are growing in all of the areas that we need to grow in so that we can be fully present and address what's going on in the here and now in a healthy way. Another thing, people who dwell on the past too often tend to have obstacles or challenges building new relationships with people because a lot of times they have been hurt and they haven't gotten over that hurt, or they haven't been able to get past something negative that have happened to them. And maybe this new person, something about him or her reminds them of a person that hurt them or did something to them. So people who they dwell in the past, they tend to struggle in that area. Speaking of hurt, people who dwell a lot in the past, they find it difficult to let go of hurt. They walk around and they have a lot of hurt and pain, and you can see it a lot of times in their faces. You can sense it in conversations. When I went through a divorce, it was really difficult to get over the soul hurt that I felt, the disappointment, and the profound sadness that I felt. It was hard. And I spent a lot of time struggling to get past that hurt so that I could move on with my life and rear my girls in a positive way. You know what I'm saying? And so I know what folks feel when they stuck in the past due to some hurt. So when I'm doing a video, I'm not just talking. I've been there and I understand. Sometimes people who are stuck in the past, they tend to be indecisive. They can't make decisions. Making decisions and sticking to them can be overwhelming. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that when you've been hurt, especially if it has to do with some type of trauma, invasion, or violation, people tend to have a sense of self doubt that develops in response to the trauma. When I was on my toxic job, it was difficult for me sometimes to not second guess myself, even though I had been doing my job for decades and doing it well, I might add. I still found myself having difficulty making decisions and sticking to that decision. Sometimes folks who are stuck in the past, they resist change and they don't always see the necessity or value personal or professional growth because they are stuck. They're looking back to know or feel that you need to grow and develop on a personal or professional level. One needs to look forward and see where you're going. But if you're stuck in the past, you're not looking forward. You don't see a future or the future. You don't see it. Why? Because you see the past. And so your vision is cloudy. And so with that cloudy vision, you don't see the necessity of growth and how that could benefit you moving forward because you're tethered to the past. Having said all of that, I do want to acknowledge the difficulty of letting go, the difficulty of moving past hurt, pain, and disappointment. I get it, but it is so necessary for the healing process that we let some stuff go because it's preventing us from fully being in our present lives. There were things that I just did not enjoy because I was stuck in the past and I had not fully healed, to be honest with you. And I didn't even know how to heal. I didn't know what to do. For example, celebrating my daughter's birthdays was helpful for me to see how far I had come. But it also challenged me because I had to deal with the fact that I had not planned to be celebrating these birthdays as a single parent. I had planned for my life to include an intact nuclear family with a wife, a husband, and children. And I had to come to grips with the fact that was not the case for our particular family makeup. And dealing with that at birthday parties for my daughters was really hard. So I may not have always been able to enjoy those parties the way I should have because I wasn't fully present in the moment. Hope that makes sense. Now, I just want to talk about a few tips that we could utilize for moving forward when we're having a problem letting go. One of them is my favorite, and I've talked about it before, practicing gratitude, writing down what you're grateful for, or even saying it, whichever works for you. Practicing gratitude has helped me to move forward in a lot of areas in my life. Forgiving yourself and the one who harmed you if you can. Remember, forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for you. And sometimes you may not be able to forgive right now. That's okay. But forgiving yourself for holding on to something that's weighing you down, that's a huge load. Okay. Decluttering your mental and physical space is helpful, of letting things go. Why? Because a lot of times we collect things, physical momentums of a bygone life that's gone. Now, if it's not going to cause you any negative feelings, keep it if you want. But if it's going to cause you negative feelings, maybe get rid of it. I remember reading an article one time that recommended that if you break up with a person and it was a hard breakup and you're having problems moving forward, maybe getting rid of some of the gifts the person gave you. And I actually did that. I got rid of some gifts. I had to because looking at them caused me pain because I'm thinking about certain things, but you may not have to do that. You may not have to do something as drastic as getting rid of a gift. For me, that was helpful on a physical and a mental level. The other thing I want to point out is there's a lot of studies that say when we have memories, those memories don't just live in our brain. They don't just live in our mind. They live in our stomach. They live in other areas of our body. So decluttering mental pictures that make us remember something that's painful. Another step in letting go is to understand that though we may be made up of our past experiences, we are not our past. We are a combination of all of our experiences. That means the ones that happened before, the ones that are happening now, and the ones that are happening in the future. That's why you'll hear some people say, I'm not the same person I was yesterday or the day before, because new experiences help us to usher in a new person and we get to show up a different way in this life that we're living in. Another tip for letting go of the past is to make sure that we keep limiting beliefs in check. When we are holding on to things that no longer serve us, we are not allowing space in our lives to accept new experiences that may be helpful. I'd like to use as an analogy that I learned years ago that when people were trying to catch monkeys, like maybe they wanted to catch the monkey for the zoo or give it a vaccination or what have you, they would put a bowl with a little hole drilled in the top of the bowl. And the monkey is able to put its hand into the bowl like this, right? Inside of the bowl may be some peanuts or some type of food, whatever monkeys eat. And so the monkey tries to grab that food that's in there. And when they do this, they ball their fists, they're unable to bring their hand back through the top of the bowl. So that's how they catch the monkey. I see that as similar to when we hold on to past hurts and pains, when we tether ourselves to the past, we're holding on to that so tight that our hands are not open to receive new things that are coming our way, new experiences, new relationships, new things that are here to serve us in this new season of our lives. We're not able to get it because we're holding on to what happened back here. I hope that makes sense. I hope that bless somebody. I hope that when we're thinking about some of the changes that we want to make, especially during this time that we're resting, I just hope that we realize that there is this expansive, beautiful world out there for us to enjoy, a world that God made and placed us in it to enjoy. Expand my territory. That's a verse in the Bible. Expand my territory. We have to be open for our territory to be expanded. We have to be open to experience new things. I remember years ago, my spiritual mentor, she gave me a verse and it said that I am going to show you a new thing. I'm going to show you a new thing. I think it's in Isaiah. I'm going to show you a new thing. I'll put it in the comments when I find it. So these are things that we can do to let go of the past. I say heal, get our healing on. I say engage in self care. I say surround yourself with people who fill you up, build a community. I say give yourself permission to talk about it briefly to folks who can help you, to a therapist, a pastor, clergy, somebody. I say give yourself permission to forgive. I say be gentle with yourself. I say show yourself love and compassion and grace. That's what I say do. I say move on. Even though it's hard, move on. Now move on at your pace, but move on. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please do me a big favor and give it a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. Please share it with somebody who you think may benefit from it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. All right. Thank you. Love you. Talk soon.